It was very hands-on. The stuff that we were covering, like week on week, we were actually getting to use, which was nice. Like even with the competitions and stuff that we did towards the end of the week, we were using all the skills that we'd spent the week learning in those competitions, which I think like solidified what we were learning a lot more. The assessments helped with that, but I think the biggest thing was learning something and then really getting to put that into practice and like seeing what you could get out of it, things like that. So yeah, very hands-on, useful in that sense as well. I think it helped with how overwhelming it could have been otherwise. Obviously there's a lot to take on doing 360 and a lot of different things that are very detailed that you have to learn like all at once. I think that structure would have been really hard to like get all of the information on without having someone to walk you through it and yeah, really hold your hand through that process and show you how to do each bit in like quite a clear way. It's pretty much like decided the way that I work day to day, like the things that I've been picking up through the training, the things that like you've told us about. Like one of the first things we did was when you're qualifying a candidate, number one, the qualification structure that I've used on like pretty much every candidate call, not necessarily in terms of like conversational structure, but in terms of the information that I needed to gather from each person and things that I might be missing otherwise. That's been like foundational. And then past that, like I said, one of the earlier things that we covered was like CV stripping and lead gathering and all of those things, which I just like wouldn't really have had any idea how to do or wouldn't even have thought about doing on the phone to candidates early on otherwise, and now I just like do it as second nature. BD wise, like I said, lead gathering, chasing those leads, because we've sort of covered that in order. You get comfortable with doing one thing before the other thing gets introduced, so I was already comfortable and like confident when I was talking to candidates and feeling like I was getting the right information, and then the next week when we moved on to sort of chasing those leads and doing something with that information, that became something that I could pick up on top of what I was already doing rather than it being like really broken up. It sort of came together. I think having like concrete rundowns, for me especially, was just really useful. Like I said, in candidate qualification, having okay, you need this list of information, you'll get other stuff, and you might not always get all of these things, but having like checkboxes to be like, okay, I've spoken about this, I've done that. I think learning those things as you go by essentially trial and error would have been really, really difficult and would have sort of written off a lot of the earlier candidate calls that I'd have done. Having that structure like laid out in front of me just made it so much easier. Kind of the same with all the like the processes. We spoke earlier on about like the email chain. Having it laid out, this is a way that you can go through and do this, instead of just saying, we'll just like chase them up with some emails. Like having that stuff just laid out in front of you, that made it a lot easier for me. 3 out of 3 competitions, easy, easy. Yeah, just feels good. Got a little prize. Got bragging rights. Yeah, it was nice to have something to compete for, and just having like a real focused, you will get a win if you put this work in today. Yeah, that really paid off. Say clear, applicable, insightful. I genuinely don't know how I would have taken this information on, like just sat at my desk. I know you learn by doing, but I think 4 weeks in, if I'd have just been learning on desk, whilst I might be at the same level in terms of the things that I was doing, I wouldn't be doing them in such like a considered way. So knowing that what you're doing is actually the right thing rather than guessing your way through and having to like make your way by trial and error. Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to start without something like this and just get thrown in. I think maybe if I was doing 180, I wouldn't have minded it so much, but on 360, I think that would have been way too much to just dive into all at once.